What up, what up, what up, football fans all over the world? It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan, here with my guy, the super dope co-host, and Costas. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for that real deal NFC East round up. Punch that intro. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. I am Mac the Giants fan here with my guy, the super dope co-host, Adam Costas. How you doing today, Adam?
I am good. I'm good. Smell the clean air out there. It's going to be a good one step closer to fall football, man. I don't know about you, but it's a little chilly out here, so I'm feeling football weather.
Definitely. I was downright cold last night at work. So it's definitely getting chilly. You can feel it in the air. Football season is definitely upon us, man. How you doing, Daniel Berry? Welcome to the chat, man. Thanks for popping in, bro. Appreciate it as always, man. But it's real. It's time, man. We are a week away, man. A week away from the realness. It is football season, man. The cuts have been made. Guys are sorting out the rosters now, getting their practice squads together. It's that time, man. It's go time. A lot going on, man. The NFC East, man. It's looking like it's going to be a very tough, competitive division this season, man. I mean, obviously, the one team is definitely going to still standing out from the rest right now, but we'll talk about it for a little bit. Let's talk about some of their moves, man, and how they put together their roster. Let's talk about them defending world champs, the Philadelphia Eagles, man. What you think about some of their decisions and their moves that they made, Adam?
Their Eagles are pretty good, as always. I'm not worried. I think that it's interesting they traded for a guy, right, in the Kenyon Green, only to trade him away, like days later or weeks later. So I thought that was kind of crazy. The fact that they transferred Sam Howell is a little interesting. So that's crazy. Apparently they just signed a guy off the Broncos practice squad, a running back. He used to play for Notre Dame. The reports are that he's going to sign with them. So it's just kind of interesting that some of what they've done. The Sam Howell thing is interesting. I don't know what it means. Some people think it's Tanner McKee, but they ended up cutting Kyle McCord. So, you get two experienced backups there and a guy that you can develop who's kind of the same build as what's his face as Jalen Hurts, but he's not quite that big, but he's short, stocky kind of guy. So I think some of their moves are good. Is there anybody you want to touch on in particular?
I mean, yeah, really, their roster is still actually just loaded. I'm sitting there looking at it. As I'm looking at it, it's like, this is a damn good football team here, man. I mean, this is like, you look everywhere, like top to bottom, offensively, defensively, this team is absolutely stacked with talent, man. Yeah, I would say you mentioned like they were able to retain Kyle McCord onto the practice squad, so we'll see if they maybe try to develop him and whatever they can do, work with a guy like him. I mean, and they bringing in Sam Howell. That's Sam Howell kind of just got that journeyman moving around team to team every year now. It looks like it's going to be one of those kind of guys, right, man. I don't know.
I don't. It doesn't make sense to me though. If you are keeping, I mean, I know Tanner McKee is he on the injury reserve list? Did he make that list or no? I don't. They said he wasn't. He had a finger injury, so I don't know if he, didn't make the team. But either way, if you still have Tanner McKee on the roster, it makes no sense to me why we go out and get Sam Howell, other than you might be letting go of Tanner McKee at some point. It doesn't. I don't know why else you would want to do that. So
I mean, maybe to keep that option open. Maybe somebody inquires about a trade for Tanner McKee. Tanner McKee had a pretty impressive, looked pretty, sharp in the preseason when he was playing.
But I think he's also on his. Is he on a contract year too? He might be leaving, so he might also be out the door. So I don't know, man.
That's
I
also
just thought.
yeah. The Eagles are always
So
a couple steps ahead, man. So they make it's everything is so they're so meticulous with everything they do. So it could be actually you could be right about that. I'm not sure about Tanner McKee's contract status, but that actually could have something to do with it. Honestly, that makes a whole lot of sense if that was the case. That maybe they're just getting ready for a potential Tanner McKee exit and and just have another veteran guy
well, I
already
mean,
there in place.
think about it. If somebody goes down, he was already, I think, in trade talks last year, right? So I know somebody came on the show yesterday. It was like, this guy stinks. Why the hell do we care about Tanner McKee? Well, I'm just saying, Tanner McKee is a capable backup quarterback, and people need guys who are serviceable. And if your quarterback goes down for a few weeks, and you need to, you might need your playoff lives, to get there, you know, then figure you can figure that out. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, if somebody calls, like, I'm not saying the Saints, but let's just say we'll make up said team. I'll be the Broncos, right? Let's say the Broncos call up and they don't like Jared Stidham, or they need a quarterback because Jared Stidham is now the number one, and now their backup is weak, and they don't want to lose out on having a guy that can be functional if their backup goes down. Well, guess what? The Eagles now have a surplus of quarterbacks that they could deal out, and we know that we can tell by Kenyon Green signing that they could just keep a seat warm for you. So maybe they trade Sam Howell in the long run if they wanted to, right? Because they also traded Kenny Pickett. Look what they've done with their quarterbacks in the last 6 months. They went from February trading Kenny Pickett, right? Then they got DTR, I think they got from the Browns, who
Mm-hmm.
they cut, right? Then they bring in Kyle McCord, and then those guys didn't work out, so they get rid of those two guys, and then bring in Sam Howell. So the backup quarterback for them has been a revolving door. Now again, Kenny Pickett netted them some draft capital. I don't know if getting a Sam Howell here, who was also, late round pick, will net them some capital. So it's kind of one of those moves where, the Eagles, like you said, are playing 3D chess while we're playing checkers. They have something probably in mind, and they probably know something or forecast something down the road, which is what they're good at doing. Being a GM is not just working for the here and now. It's also working to forecast problems that may arise later, inquiries that people have already made. Tanner McKee's getting a lot of buzz. Maybe I should bring somebody else in here who has some potential that we like, who kind of fits our system as well. Because remember, Tanner McKee's 6'5", Jalen Hurst is about is 6'1". Sam Howell can run a little bit. Jalen Hurst runs a little bit. Tanner McKee is not the same kind of player. So it changes your offense up. How that it doesn't allow them to do that. So, maybe they'll trade him down the road. Maybe his contract is up. Who knows? But to me, it was an interesting move since what they've done with the quarterback position since basically February or March, actually.
Yeah, a couple other interesting names on the Eagles practice squad as of right now. Eli Ricks, the young cornerback Eli Ricks, on it. They were able to retain to their practice squad, and Terrence Marshall Jr., receiver from they picked up from Carolina. This past off season, man, guys that I would have thought Terrence Marshall might have had a better shot at honestly making the roster as a depth piece in that receiver room. But at the end of the day, I mean, they were still able to retain him. He cleared waivers, and he is now part of their practice, going to be part of their practice squad. So I would assume
Well, that's because they
he'll
have
still,
11 linemen. So they decided to go with
yeah.
heavy in the offensive line side, and they went with so essentially what you do with Terrence Marshall Jr. I'm looking at their roster now and their cut downs. They're 53. Like, I'm interested in seeing John Menchie. They said that he's doing pretty well, right? They just brought him over from Houston, right, to add to that receiving core. So now you have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, and John Mechie to go out there, right? I don't know who Darius Cooper is. Guess he made the team. And then you have
He probably a
Dallas
special teamer or
Goddard,
something.
right? You have Dallas Goddard, Grant Calcaterra, and Cleveland Granson. I mean, again, I know the first two. The last guy, I'm not as familiar with. Sorry, Eagle fans. But then you have Jordan Mailata, Len Dickerson. Wow, they have a lot of linemen. No wonder they could trade Kenyon Green. We have 11 guys that you're keeping, and they're all good. Oh, they just traded Fred Johnson too. I think that was good. I think that was happening too. I think they traded him to Seattle. But everybody else, Brett Toth, Drew Kendall, Cameron Williams, Trevin Keegan, they got a lot of guys in the pipeline. But then you have Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgensen, Tyler Steen is one of your guards, Lane Johnson. So who knows what the Eagles are going to do? They're a fluid team, and again, they're good. I mean, look at this edge room: Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt, Josh Uche, Aziz Ojolari. Wow, they said he was on a bubble player. He made the team. Good for him. Zach Bond, Todd Campbell, Jeremiah Trotter. Wow, is that? Am I reading that right? So
Jeremiah
they
Trotter
cut.
here.
No. I mean, so they cut N'Kobe Dean. He's not on the team anymore.
No,
Wow.
Kobe Dean is on the team. He's still on. He's injured though. He's out right now. He's not.
Oh, he's on the
Able.
practice squad.
No, he's not on the
He's on
practice
the
squad.
pup list.
He's on the roster. He's on the roster. He's not
Oh,
even on pup. I don't think. I don't think they have him listed as a pup.
because I'm looking here at the cut downs. So maybe he made it back. I don't know because I don't see him on the list that they have for linebackers
No,
for him.
I'm looking at.
Zach
I'm
Bond,
looking at the
Todd
roster
Campbell.
right now. He's on there.
Oh, he's on there. Okay, because the list I got
Mm-hmm.
from NBC was telling me they only have 4 backers. How many backers are on your list then?
You got Zach Bond, Jahad Campbell, Nolan Smith, Aziz Ojala. I mean, if you count those guys, those edge guys mostly, but
Well, no, I'm talking about like just the line, but
just the normal. Okay,
not
then Zach Bond, Jahad Campbell, Trotter Jr., Smile Munden Jr., N'Kobe Dean.
okay, so they don't have N'Kobe Dean on here. So there have been some transactions since the list that I have. So that's all. It's just that they, the fluidity of it. Yeah, because you said they had Kelly Ringo on the practice. Oh no, you said Eli Ricks,
Eli
which
Rich,
is. I mean, think about that. Wasn't Eli Ricks like a 3rd round pick or something like that? Wasn't he a decent pick? Maybe I could be wrong.
Something he was. I feel like he was something like around roundabout like that. He might have been a day 3. He might have been a day 3 pick. I can't remember offhand now,
but that's just interesting to have a guy that's still in your pipeline there. So I'm just the Eagles are what they are. They're stacked. We're gonna get to see them firsthand, and we'll probably preview the game more next week because it'll be damn. I can't believe next week is the start of the season. Like that is insane to think about in terms of we just had preseason. Last Thursday, I'm like, oh, here we are. I'm thinking about Labor Day. It's tomorrow's Thursday. A week from tomorrow, we have a football game that's live with the NFC East. Crazy. So we'll find out how good they are. And I'm looking forward to John Mechie. That's the guy I want to follow this season. I know people don't want to talk about Eagle players, but that's a guy that they traded for. And if you know his career, you're rooting for the guy, even if he's in an Eagle uniform, right? Overcoming cancer and having some issues coming out with Houston and now making it over here. So that's a guy I'm going to be watching. I wonder if he can take reps away from Jahan Dotson, because that's what I feel like if Menchie, what I feel like the Eagles really need, and this is weird to say, and maybe you'll agree, maybe you'll disagree, is a legitimate 3rd receiver. Not like a tight end, but like a legitimate, you line them up, we got an outlet here. Because AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are great. But like to me, I know they have Barkley and they have Dallas Goedert and they have all these other guys, but to me, like a legitimate number 3, imagine that. Imagine they get their Hakeem. They find a guy in there that could be a complement to these other 2 guys to even open them up even more. Because imagine this, right? They have Dallas Goedert went down last year with injury. Then Cal Katera came in. He was solid for them. But you can't always rely on the tight ends to do your bidding. You need a 3rd down receiver, and Mechie is a little bigger. He's bigger than Dotson. He's a little thicker than Dotson, and I think he can also help in the run game. So for me, if I'm an Eagle fan, as an outsider, the guy that I'm watching to hopefully get some more reps would be Mechie, because if he can come in and be a 3rd receiver, a guy that Jalen Hurts can dump it off to over the middle on those short gains and continue to keep drives alive, they're going to be very potent. They're going to almost be unbeatable with a 3rd receiver, because I think the only weakness I see in their team, if you go down, is who's going to be that next guy to give AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, some reps off, and then also to step up when the money time comes, because everybody's getting two corners these days, right? Everybody now needs two corners. Everybody needs two receivers. Now you need what's the third element? You need a good third receiver, and I think Mechie could if he is healthy, might be able to fill that role.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now it's like they're going to give John Dotson every opportunity to kind of put a chokehold on that role. But like you said, it's up to him. It'll be up to him to really earn that trust from the.
Well, didn't we mention last week somebody said that Jahan Dotson only caught like a few passes or whatever? So the impact of this team, sure, he's listed as a number one right now, but you traded for a guy, just like you traded for Jahan Dotson. You really want to give this guy a shot, and I know that they're not bringing in Mechie just because they're satisfied with the receiving core. They are a little worried about Jahan Dotson, but again, they invested time in him. They're going to give him this
Well,
system. He does have the leg up because he's been in the system a little longer than Mechie. So we'll see what
I
happens.
think that's the thing. That's what I was getting ready to say. I think this year they brought in Mitchie kind of basically on the same type of time like they brought in Jahan Dotson last season a year ago. So it's like kind of comes into comes into things kind of late, still catching up a little bit, I mean you see how things happen. I mean Jahan Dotson did begin to make plays later on in the season a year ago, but he got there. He had to get acclimated, and he got there late in the process. So I mean, like I said, I think they're gonna give him every opportunity, and we'll see how they go from there. How's it going, Joel? Good to see you, man.
I
Thanks for
do
popping in.
think that I think it's great that if I'm the Eagle fan, that we have a guy that was much maligned on Houston, couldn't quite break in there. But hey, Joel, what's going on? But you have him on this roster, and I'm just wondering what contribution he's going to make, because when you're a Super Bowl team and you're a team like the Eagles, sometimes a player you least expect is the guy that makes the big play, right?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
so to have a guy that might go under the radar in a Mechie, just like you mentioned, what if this guy gets acclimated, by midseason, is healthy, and then all of a sudden you have this extra guy that nobody's focusing on, that's on a fourth cornerback, right? One of the worst probably on your team, probably a special team guy, a guy who's raw, doesn't have talent, he's not on your top three. And all of a sudden, now you got this guy Mechie, who was a high draft pick, was a pretty good receiver at Alabama before, he got diagnosed. All of a sudden, decides to come around, and now you have an advantage, Eagles, which you didn't think you had at first, right? Because when you're doing matchups, and that's what this game has now become, is like, how do you match up well? Well, the Cowboys that they play, the Cowboys have decent secondary, not a great secondary, but a decent enough secondary where they can probably match up with some of these guys. Will it matter? Plus, they're also matching up with great receivers on their end every week in Pickens. But to get back to the Eagles, to have a fourth guy to come out and go against the weak cornerback, it's kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like you said, when you talk about the Eagles right now, we're just this is like I said, this is a great team. I think right now the biggest thing they have to worry about dealing with, especially on the offensive side of the football, is just getting their guys healthy and ready to make sure they're all ready to go out there next Thursday night when they open up against the Dallas Cowboys. They do have a lot of guys dealing with some nagging things. Nothing that seems to be overly too serious, but just some nagging things, especially like I said, more so on the offensive side of the ball. A lot of like key players, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard, Mailata, Landon Dickerson, guys like that dealing with some things. But like I said, nothing seems to be too overly serious. So we'll probably see these guys all out there, I would assume, next week when the action when it gets real. Uh you have any more final thoughts on the Eagles before we
Not really. I mean, we discuss them. There's not much flaws. They're not much surprising. And knowing Howie Roseman, this is not the last roster move we'll see. As we've
oh no.
seen, like we talked about with the quarterbacks from March to now, he's not afraid to make wheel and deal.
No, not at all. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. What's going on, my guy? He said it's still the Pigeons, huh? Yeah, but they some damn good Pigeons. I tell you that right now. We got to catch up to them, man.
They're
That's what
doves.
we got to
They're
do.
doves right now. They're doves.
Yeah, they did grab a running back today. They picked up a running back.
I think the kid from Denver we talked about, right? From the
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame, the power back.
Yeah. But let's talk about Washington a little bit, man. Get to them Commanders. What had the Commanders been up to?
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, they got their roster. I mean, go for it. They got their roster. They're 53 right now. They got some guys on the practice squad. Sam Hartman, quarterback. Sam Hartman, Jacoby Jones at wide receiver. They moved to the practice squad. Former New York Giant Lawrence Cager, who I didn't even know was part of the Commanders at all this offseason. I didn't even know that he was out there in the Commanders. But yeah, Lawrence Cager on the Commanders practice squad.
Wow.
Any
Lawrence
thoughts
Cager.
on the Commanders?
Comes back to bite him. What is interesting to me is the trade for Brian Robinson, that they made to get him out of the team, off the team. It's just an interesting move because a guy, again, like Terry McLaurin, came in and just did his job and, did it to a decent level. It just is interesting to see. Now, their young running back that they drafted, right? They came in and drafted. I don't think they didn't draft Brian Robinson. So they came in and drafted, their running back, and he kind of, I guess, took reps away. So it's just kind of interesting again when you have an abundance of players, what teams actually do, right? That someone had a need for a running back. Robinson's a good running back. He gets dealt. Washington gets an extra draft pick and an asset, and they already have a guy that they believe in. And so it's just interesting to see how they went about it. The other interesting thing to see is that they have Josh Johnson still on their team, which I thought was funny. Which means Sam Hartman is not doing very well. But to have Josh Johnson on the team, and I'm sure he'll be expendable at some point.
Oh yeah,
because roster cut downs, injuries, things happen. You're going to need a roster spot. If you already have Sam Hartman on the practice squad, you have technically 4 quarterbacks on the roster, technically, quotation marks, right? So that leaves a spot available for somebody in a trade, in a move they need. Johnson's going to be the odd man out. He gets a home now, but he is just a roster bubble player. I see what they've done in terms of their secondary. I think Deebo Samuel is going to be pretty good. Obviously, Terry McLaurin, which what did we talk about for weeks? We told you it was going to get done. It got done. They're going to be full strength coming out on week 1. And let's be honest, preseason is the preseason. I think this team is going to come out and be ready. They got a lot to prove, and they have a team that they know coming in week 1 that they have a chance to beat. So if you look at their roster, I like Lattimore. Apparently, this is just rumors now. You can't believe everything you hear. That Lattimore has got back to his All-Pro self. So if that does happen, and he's a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro, which is a little better than Pro Bowler, but he's an All-Pro, then maybe they'll have a decent secondary. But who knows? Who knows? Their offensive line is decent. They brought in some guys in Larry Tunsil. So their defense is the weakness of their team is their defense. They're going to be an average defense, but if their offense can be explosive with Deebo Samuel, the running game, because remember they have Eckler, they still have Zach Ertz, I think, and they got their new running back out of that they just drafted. He's got 3 names, can't pronounce them. I think
Corey Krosky Merritt.
Yeah, I think they call him Bill for some reason. I don't know why, but whatever. So, so they have a couple good players on the team. So it's going to be interesting how they deal because the defense like them and Mike Tannenbaum picked them to be like the representatives in the NFC, like in the conference championship game against Green Bay, which Stephen A. Smith almost blew a gasket. But this is just interesting to see how they're going to play because they're middle of the road defense. If you look at their talent, it's not like it doesn't scream like top 5 defense, top 10. It screams like, all right, you can do some things. If you stop the run, you'll have your cornerbacks be able to maybe help you, and maybe you get a guy like Von Miller free and a Deron Payne free because Kinlaw is taking up a couple blocks. So maybe that'll help you out, and maybe Dorrance Armstrong gets a couple sacks. There's nobody that I'm hanging my hat on going, oh, that guy's got double digits. That guy's got double digits. So it's really going to rely on their offense, which they've done a good job assembling some pieces. Now we'll see if their guys can come through. Like Luke McCaffrey, will he live up to his draft status? Right? They have Deebo Samuel. How will he be utilized in Cliff Kingsbury's offense? Although I do believe he'll be able to be utilized because Cliff Kingsbury had, I think it was Hollywood Brown in Arizona, and it kind of is a similar player to that guy where, he takes reverses and screens and things like that. So when I was having a discussion with somebody, man, I may ask you, what do you classify Deebo Samuel as? Is he a receiver? Is he a running back? Is he a gadget player? Because to
I just
me,
kind of call him a weapon. I just call him a weapon because I don't know what else. I mean, to me, he's not really that. To me, I don't. I never. It's hard for me to consider him a just regular traditional wide receiver. He's just like an offensive weapon. You know what I mean? A guy that can do a multitude of things. And just I don't know. I don't. It's hard because to me, he's not like just that. Like just regular. I guess he's not a regular traditional receiver. He just isn't. I just don't. He doesn't play like that. He doesn't. It's just nothing about him screams traditional wide receiver like some of the other guys around the league. So I just feel like he's just a guy that's used on offense, an offensive weapon that can do a lot of different things, and he's pretty
so
good at a lot of different things.
well, I
Jack of
think
all trades, master of none.
Well, I'm just kind of curious because again, Kyle Shanahan's a little different than Cliff Kingsbury, although they had similar personnel. I thought Cliff Kingsbury would have a good transition because he had Kyler Murray, who was a mobile quarterback, and he also had Hollywood Brown. So he had guys that he could use in the gadget form, and they didn't really have a player like Deebo Samuel. So I'm just wondering what he'll bring to the offense, how he's going to help Terry McLaurin, because he's not a traditional receiver, but he's a gadget player, somebody else has got to step up in that, again, third receiver role, because if you're going to have him in the backfield and doing all this, it may take away from certain things. So we'll see how they utilize him, because if he stinks, it's going to look bad on Adam Peters because you went out and you gave up draft capital, although 49ers were willing to get rid of him, which you have to ask yourself that question. And why were they so
I think
willing to
that
get
had
rid
a
of him?
lot to do with just the fact of probably just not continuing to want to invest in a guy that's pretty much, I mean, Debo, let's face it, this guy is banged up
Yeah,
every year, one thing after another with Debo Samuel. There's always some kind of nagging something with Debo, something he's always dealing with something. I mean,
yeah,
I just can't even remember a year that I can remember that Debo Samuels played a whole entire season and got through a whole season healthy. I just don't. I can't remember the last time he's been able to accomplish that. So I just feel like that probably had a little bit to do with the 49ers just ready to cut ties with him. And plus, the investment in Brandon Ayuk and the other young receiver that they got, the other guy they got now out there too.
first
What's
where'd you
his
put
name?
him?
What's his name? Jennings or something like that. Something Jennings or something, whatever his name is.
Oh yeah, they got him from the Rams too.
So I just think they were just business. NFL's a business. They were just ready to kind
Well,
of
do you think
move
he has
on
anything
and
left in
turn
the
the
tank?
page. I think he does. I think he does. I mean, he had a strong training camp. I mean, and he didn't play much in the preseason, but when that first unit offense was out there on the field and he came out there very first play, ran that reverse. I don't know how many. It was a good game, good play. I mean, it was just they look sharp. So I think he'll be ready to go. I mean, he's saying all the right things right now. Obviously, I listened to him a couple of interviews. He seems to be happy, very happy here with Washington. I mean, playing with one of the top young quarterbacks in the NFL. So I mean, it's not a lot to be feel good about. So I think we'll see a pretty solid effort from Debo Samuel, man, this season. I don't know. Like I said, you just got to take it for what it is. Understand the kind of player that he is, and don't have like weird expectations. Think he's gonna go out there and put up like Justin Jefferson like numbers or something weird like that. That's just not going to be the kind of player he is. But
Well, you look at the stark contrast to quarterbacks. You just said it. He goes from Brock Purdy, who, granted got paid. He does what he does well in Kyle Shanahan's offense, to Jaden Daniels, who runs around and makes magical plays. And now you get this gadget player like in Debo who can take a. I mean, I don't know if he still has the same speed, but he can take a short pass, and make a long game. Let's put it like that, right? I don't want to say that he doesn't have breakaway speed anymore, but like Robert Brooks when he was running in Madden, like, they don't show my breakaway speed. Like I don't know if he still got that juice, but he will make long gains, and I just think it's going to be interesting when Jaden Daniels breaks, the pocket, breaks contain. What will happen? Because that's usually when the guys like that, excel. Is like, oh shoot, now you think I'm going flat? Now I'm going to take it up, and I got a running quarterback and a guy in open field in Debo who's excelled at that. So it's going to be interesting to see. I hope it didn't give anything away for the Giants. Like so they better be ready for that, because that's what's going to happen. He breaks contain. If you lose sight of him, there goes Debo Samuels down the sideline. So got a lot to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, like you said, the big news from Washington this week is obviously getting Terry McLaurin signed up, renegotiated, and now he's happy again. Look like he'll definitely be out there on Sunday against the New York next Sunday against the New York Giants, because it's not like he's been holding completely out. He's been around. He's not like he hasn't been doing any work at all. So it's like, he's good to go. She'll be out there. I think they don't have too much ramping up to do with Terry McLaurin. He'll be ready to go in that opening week game against the New York Giants. But I
That's what
think,
here. One second. I just want to touch on that real quick. That's what happens when you have continuity in an offense, right? He didn't have a new offense coordinator to learn. He didn't have all that. When you're already in the system, it helps out. So this is why this hold in, and you can say, oh, all he needs to do is ramp up. Yeah, because he already knows the offense. He's not like you're teaching him a new. It's not like Cliff Kingsbury got fired and you need him to be there because it's a new offensive coordinator. So I think that helps with the situation as well.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, like I said, their main concern for me is just making sure that defense can hold up and be good enough, like you said, because I feel confident about what this team can do offensively, especially with Jaden Daniels at the helm and just all the other pieces on that offense. But I just think that defensively, like I said, I don't like to put, like you said, can't put too much stock in preseason. They didn't play a lot of their guys necessarily, a lot of their veteran guys and whatnot. But this team got gashed all through the preseason. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, they got gashed all through the preseason. I mean, a lot of points put up on them all through preseason. So I just think that's something more that I keep an eye on when it comes to this Washington Commander team, because to me it's the only thing that can hold them back. I mean, look in the preseason, what they gave up in the preseason. Week 1 against the Patriots, 48 points, 31 points against the Bengals, another 30 points against Baltimore. I mean, to me, that just stands out. Even though it's preseason, it still stands out in the sense that hopefully this doesn't become something that's too much to overcome for this team, and you're trying to have Jaden Daniels out there playing hero ball and doing too much. I believe in the talent of that young man, but if he gets to a point where he has that kind of pressure on him, where he's out there trying to do too much, things could go left a little bit. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. What's going on, AK2? Thanks for stopping in, bro. So they couldn't just.
I don't think.
Adam, kind of losing you there. Said, well, AK has a comment here. NFL reality check says they couldn't deserve to lose Scary Terry, but I only expect him to be there 2 years by the way his contract is. I feel he was paid a little less than he's worth, but glad he could get it done.
Well, listen, look, he's there. He's obviously not going to get paid. This is his one big payday, right? He's going to be like Tyler Lockett in Seattle, where eventually you're going to be like mid-30s, 30, 34, and you're going to be like, you know what? We want to keep you around, but we also have this young other receiver coming up and other younger guys. So, unfortunately for Terry, age doesn't play a factor for him. But if he's still playing at a high level, I don't expect a big contract, but you can always expect an extension. We'll see how it plays out. You never know, right? They're still lucky right now because they can pay people, because guess what? They have a rookie deal quarterback. So I think next year you're going to see them invest a lot more money into things, and I think that's where you're going to see them um, flourish next year. As for the defense, I'm not. Again, I explained before that they have a bend but don't break defense. That could be their Achilles heel. But I think the offense, that if they go out and just do what they have to do week in and week out and score points, it's going to favor the defense when you have these weaker teams, because what's going to happen is people are going to be pressured to now score in a hurry because you're out there in bunches. It forces people to make mistakes. It forces them to do that. Plus, on the back end, they have cornerbacks that can play. And when they actually can play, they're going to get sacks because of that alone, with Latimer and Trey Amos and that group of people. As they gel, they will shut. They're not every offense. They're going to is going to be a juggernaut. So they'll have their opportunities. Against a team that is coming up to them week one. I'm not worried. I'm not scared of their defense, but I also think they're not scared of our personnel because they already matched up with that personnel last year and they were able to kind of do what they needed to do. And with Bobby Wagner in the game, they're going to be a sound defense. So that's the one thing I agree with you that their Achilles heel is that, but I'm not worried about them in preseason because they have older veterans. So a lot of those guys aren't taking the same reps. You know what I mean? Because they need those guys down the stretch.
I mean, I can maybe agree with that. It just when you watch a team get, like I said, they literally just got pretty much blown out all three games basically. So it's just it's I don't know. Just to me, it's still something alarming. Because that comes down to the depth even as well too. I mean, that now we kind of depth to this
Right.
team have when guys go down. Like, who are these guys that are coming in here? These same guys that were getting gashed all through the preseason.
Right.
So
I hear what you're saying. I'm not saying I'm not putting a flag up and saying, oh, maybe I need to rethink this. What I'm saying to you is that their defense was weak last year and it worked itself out. And I think that's what they're doing right now. They're kind of a soft team, as we explained. So if they can't score points and they can't do what the things they do on offense, yes, they're going to struggle. But if their offense can now, with the added dimension of Debo, put up points, their defense is going to look a lot better than it looks. Even though they may not stop the run or whatnot. Again, we'll find out because it's all fun and games until they strap it up on week one. Because the Giants went 3-0 and look great in the preseason. Do I know if that's going to translate? No, I've seen teams go 3-0 and look like dog shit in the regular season. So, and I've seen teams that look like dog shit that you know um, are out there. Is it a concern? Yes, obviously. You don't get run on, you don't get scored on. We'll see if that trend continues. Again, 10 days now, 11 days till game one. So we'll see if they can shore the thing up. It's a good thing for the teams that are playing against them because that could be their weakness, And that's what Stephen A. Smith kind of alluded to. They gave up 55 points to the Eagles. So, we're not. Again, I agree with you, Mac. But I'm saying to you that the only way I believe their defense is going to be a liability is if their offense gets shut down, which could happen. And if that happens, it's going to be a long year for the Commanders.
yeah, I mean, I mean, like I said, it's gonna be just something to look at. It's like I said, it was one of the big glaring things for me that caught my attention throughout the preseason with this team. Is just this. I'm just still really not convinced with this defense, but like you said, their offense is very talented. The quarterback is obviously one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league, and the future is still bright. I think for this football team, to be honest, as long as Jaden Daniels is going to be at the helm, I believe in his talent. I believe that he is the real deal. I don't see a sophomore slump coming. I feel like this guy is going to continue to trend upward. But I don't know if you have any final thoughts on the Washington Commanders. We can get ready to move on to them boys. And we'll move on to them boys. All right, what you got? AK here says, so I know this is the NFC East podcast, but I heard the Browns are looking to get a new stadium. What the hell have they done to deserve a new stadium? How about a team? How about a team first thought that was weird? I mean, look, I don't know. I don't know anything about Cleveland Browns getting a new stadium, man. But like you said, that to me, they got other things to worry about other than a new stadium right now. So, no, Met says the fans deserve it. I mean, I guess that's one way to look at it, but
Really, their fans deserve it in the dog pound. I mean, look, I get the taxpayers don't deserve it exactly. No, when you get these new stadiums, I mean, they have to win, right? So what's going to happen is when they're going to get their shiny stadium next year when they have Jacksonville's draft pick and they're picking the top 10 of their quarterback. They're going to usher in a new stadium, do new uniforms, finally get a franchise quarterback, and say, "Come join us for the 2026 or whenever that stadium opens season," because that's what's going to happen. Now, I don't want to derail the show, but the Browns are a franchise that you don't I don't necessarily root against, but you're always kind of like I'm like, can they get themselves out of the mud, please? The
well,
Bengals ownership and the Browns ownership. We can talk about this on premium takes. Are probably the worst ownership groups in the world, and they're fucking related.
hmm, it's just weird with the Browns. The Browns are one of them teams. I know this version of the Browns is technically was an expansion team, technically, but the Cleveland Browns history goes way, way back into the root of the NFL, and just for this team to just never really been able to get much done over the years historically, man. It's just a weird. This is one of those weird things, man. But whatever. I don't know. They're the Cleveland Browns. Like you said, we talk about that. That's something we can maybe talk about on Premium Takes, man. We'll talk about let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys now, man. The Cowboys, trying to get their thing in check. They got Trayvon Diggs off the pup list, still dealing with the Micah Parsons contract situation, which just seems to be getting uglier and uglier each and every day. It just seems it's just spiraling out more and more out of control, honestly. But they're getting a little healthy on the O line. Tyler Guyton looking like he might be actually ready to go next on Thursday night against the Eagles possibly. And just think about what the Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys been up to over these last couple of days with cut downs and stuff.
It's interesting, right? The Micah Parsons thing is taking away from the overall morale of the team, right? Like, so their team is just going on about their business, and you know, it's kind of when you look at it, you're like, oh wow, they have a. When you look past the Micah Parsons thing, you're like, oh, their O line's decent. Their defense is got some talent on it. They are the Cowboys, so obviously they're influx. We don't know if Brian Schottenheimer is a good coach or not, but we'll see what happens. I think it's interesting. I believe in my heart of hearts he's going to be there come Thursday night. I don't. This is a little different than like Scary Terry because you technically have a new regime, not really a new regime, well, new offensive regime, but you have a new defensive coordinator. Unlike Scary Terry, who has a offensive coordinator in Cliff Kingsbury from the previous year, where he doesn't really need to know. He doesn't need to be engaged to be out there to be engaged, right? Micah Parsons has done a lot of being a distraction, lying on the bench, doing these things, trying to make it publicly known and get the to drum up the drama. And I just think it's funny because you're taking away from the actual team itself. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing because I believe Micah Parsons will play. And the reason I believe he'll play is because in this day and age, it's not a good look to sit out games. And look what it did for Hassan Reddick last year. Okay. It completely tanked whole um his whole mojo. Now again, Hassan Reddick is not Micah Parsons, but what I'm saying is that guy was a top of the level pass rusher and decided to sit out against the Jets after he got traded and said, you know what, I'm not playing with this fucking organization. And then it ended up tanking his value. Again, we're talking about two different players, but the value is going to be the same. People are still going to look at you and be like, well, you did sit out last year. How much juice do you have? Right? What could you possibly bring now? It could be one of those things where he does sit out and say, screw it, I'm just going to sit out and I'm going to get better. And I don't care that I get fined because I'm going to come back and be more, more of a beast. But to me, if I'm Michael Parsons, I'm playing. And the reason I'm playing is because I only know one way, and that's to play. And if I go out there and I show up and show out, it's going to be a detriment to the Cowboys because they're going to be forced to keep me. They're going to be forced to keep me in either way. Because right now, the Cowboys hold the leverage. They already know that he probably will be a beast. They know that they also have the franchise tag next year, which they're going to put on him to negotiate. So they have a window to this. So for me, if I'm Micah Parsons, unless you're really getting traded, which doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon, because you're a week
I'm
out. You
sorry.
think he's getting traded? I don't.
No, I don't think he's getting traded. I think there's no way they're going to trade him. I just think that the whole thing is just stupid to me. It's stupid to me because it's just this day and age, man. It's not this is not back in the day. This is you just can't play fast and loose with these with these type of players, man. Michael Parsons is what he is. I mean, it's established. I mean, yeah, he's getting like Mets putting in here like he's making 24 million this year. I get all of that, but here's the reality: the NFL market is what it is. The market for players at his position is what it is, and for top players at his position, it is. And 24 million just ain't it. They get paid more than that. So I know 24 million is a lot of fucking money.
Well, that's for this
It
year.
is.
That's for this.
I get it. I get it. I know. I understand.
He would be getting that. He would be getting that regardless. He'd be getting that 24 million regardless.
But the point is, just pay the man because that's what it is. Like it's like you're just playing this weird game and trying to use all these little things. These just pay the man because that's at the end of the day he deserves to be paid because he is one of the elite talents in this league. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, that's what you got on your squad. To me, it's nonsense. Just take care of your guy. Why go through all of this dragging like as if you're even remotely pretending like you're not going to pay him when eventually you are going to pay him. Now, as far as my thoughts on will we see Michael Parsons on Thursday night against the Eagles next Thursday? Right now, I'm leaning towards no. I'm leaning absolutely towards no. He'll probably at least hold out at least that first game and maybe get himself ramped up and maybe get ready out there for week 2 against the Giants, possibly. But at the end of the day, I think right now, the way things stand right now, I don't think we're going to see Michael Parsons next Thursday night against the Eagles. I think, and that's going to be a reality that's going to set in with Jerry Jones' ass too. Like he's going to see out there and watch Eagles probably run all over that defense and do all kinds of things out there and then realize, okay, I guess I do have to stop playing games now and get my best guy. And make my best guy happy. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, so I don't know. Like I said, this thing to me, it's just getting ugly, man. I think the whole thing is getting ugly, and it should never even got to this point when you're talking about a player like this. But there's a lot of other things that brought all this about. Like you said, like I was like this whole thing with the rookie wage scale, like you said, you're already getting these couple years out of these top talents like him for the cheap anyway, and it's like what he's truly worth, and you want to use like the rookie contract bullshit as like some leverage for yourself as the owners. Pay that man because he's outplayed that rookie contract exponentially.
Well,
so pay the man.
I hear you. I hear you. But if No Met's point is right, and they did have a deal in place, right? And he shook on the deal, regardless of what the agent said. He wants the deal honored. And now the agent's like, screw that. I want more money. So the question is it really Micah Parsons trying to hold out, or is he postulating because the agent's not happy with it? Because if I have a handshake, Jerry's a businessman. Jared Jones is a businessman. And if he walked in there and Micah shook my hand and he said, hey, you know what, Micah, I'm going to make you the highest paid guy. How does $100 million, this many things a year sound? All right, Pat DJ Watt, great, boom, right? You go back there, he crunches the numbers, and you say, well, I don't like the numbers now, right? It's becoming more than a negotiation tactic because now he's going to be like, well, I gave you what you asked for. You come back to the table and tell me it's not good enough, then go back. I mean, I don't know. If I'm Michael Parsons and my representative, first off, I fire my representatives because this is dumb. This should have been taken care of a long time ago. Now, on my contract year, you want me to basically hold out. He's getting $24 million. You want him to hold out his contract year? Fuck out of here. And as for him being in playing shape, guess what? He don't need to be in playing shape to make a wreck a game. He's that type of guy. Remember LT? Be out all night and then party up next. This guy's gonna be like that. He's a freak. He's gonna just walk in and he's gonna play a few plays. They're gonna find the weakness in the O line and whatever O line they're playing, and they're gonna say, "Go get the quarterback." Will he run out of gas? Sure. Is he going to play four quarters? Obviously not. But if this guy is here to play on Thursday night, which is I think he'll miss the game. I don't think he's missing week 2, but I think he can miss week 1. I doubt he's missing week 2. I just don't believe he's going to give up $24 million. It doesn't do him any service. I understand what you're saying, Mac, and paying him. I get it. But your value, this is a business, and the NFL knows. And if they know, and Jerry knows, they really had a handshake agreement. And the deal, and the deal was the deal.
I get that here, lad, but here's the reality. If Michael Parsons has an agent, then you should be dealing with his agent anyway. So it's like you're talking about I had a handshake agreement with the player. The player doesn't negotiate. He doesn't negotiate his own contracts. That's where Jerry Jones is already like that's that old school mentality. That's what I was talking about. It's not that anymore. It's 2025. This player has an agent. The first thing you should have done is you get in touch with his agent. You deal with that because that's the guy that's doing the negotiating. It's not Michael Parsons. He's working on behalf of Michael Parsons. Michael Parsons doesn't. He's not like Lamar Jackson going out there, making his own deals and negotiating his own deals. That's not. He has an agent, and that's what his agent is for. And that's who you're supposed to be dealing with in the first place. To me, that's already the first mistake. Period, right there. You're talking about we had a handshake deal. That doesn't mean shit, really. It
is a binding. In certain states, it is a binding agreement where you shake a guy's hand and say, I'm going to give you $100 million over this many years. And you shook on it and you say, I agree. And then you say, call my representatives. So if he, like Met said, Jerry said when he does those deals, he deals with the player. And so the player goes back and says, well, this is the deal I got. And the agent's now mucking it up and telling him what to do. And Jerry's like, well, I already agreed to the deal. To him, the deal's already signed and sealed, delivered. He's just waiting for Mike to say yes, so he can put the pen to paper. Essentially, is what he's doing. And if this is true, which again, it's all alleged, now it's in Micah Parsons' camp. And if Micah Parsons' camp knows what you're saying, and you're like, "Fuck off," we're gonna get what we paid for. Watch this. Fine, you're gonna get an ugly stalemate. And Jerry Jones again is not privy to not opening the checkbook. But we got to find out what Micah Parsons really wants, because I don't feel Micah Parsons is that kind of guy that wants to let his teammates down. He just doesn't.
No, he's absolutely. I don't think. So I agree with you. I don't think so. With that, so I agree with you on that.
I don't think he's going to be a healthy scratch every game and watch this. I mean, he could watch his team fail, but again, they'll just move on from him, get some draft picks, and it's not going to end well. Either way, that's not going to end well, right? They still have technically 2 years of control. They have this year and they have next year with the franchise tag. So if they've told him that they want to keep him, which apparently it sounds like Jerry Jones does, and he's a man of his word, and it's probably a fair deal. And who knows? Maybe if the agent got on the phone, maybe they could have negotiated. But if the agent got on the phone and said, "Fuck off, Jerry, you're an asshole," right, and thinks that's a good business too, then I would have fired my representation and say, listen, I may not agree with Jerry Jones, but I don't agree with the tactics. Let's figure this out. Because you could look at Terry McLaurin, he could have done the same fucking shit. He could have said, fuck off. He didn't. And the thing played itself out. And all of a sudden he miraculously left the pup list. This is Micah Parsons made a mistake in agreeing with Jerry Jones for a contract. Jerry, being the businessman that he is holding up that end of the contract as, hey, you shook my hand. We have an agreement. That's how I do business. Once I shake a hand, that's basically a handshake agreement. Mm-hmm. And now I'm going to call your agent. Go ahead.
I was going to say, but the thing with Jerry Jones is that's that, like I said, like once again, when I say that old school mentality, honestly, and I'm not just saying, because Michael Parsons, I'm not going to act like he's a college educated young man, whatever. He's in the NFL, but let's face it, he doesn't do deals. You know what I mean? So of course, you say that to some young guy. Initially, yeah, sure, it sounds great. Whatever number Jerry Jones might have threw out there, whatever it was, probably sounds great. But when you think about intricacies of contracts and things like that, that's what you have an agent for, and that's why I mean Jerry Jones has to get into that mentality, understanding that no matter what he wants to do or how he likes to do it or what he used to want to do, it's not that we're not living in that world anymore.
But
So
he's
go
the owner
out
of the
there.
football team.
Yeah, I get it, but go out there and deal properly with the agent, with the man with the guy that negotiates this guy's deals, and then that way you cut all this bullshit out, and that
Well,
way you can be on one page. I just think
I would like
that's
to find out about
what the
CeeDee Lamb.
disconnect is.
I want to find out about CeeDee Lamb. Did he go up to CeeDee Lamb and say, "Hey, listen, we got this"? Because essentially, if you really want the brass tacks of it all, the GM Jerry Jones, right, and his assistant GM can make those phone calls. If they all have an agreement, I don't know what happened. I don't know if they met in a room. I don't know if it was a passing by. But if Jerry Jones broke the numbers down and said, "Hey, man, I want to keep you. Here's my numbers: 4 years, $160 million. 90 million guaranteed," and Micah Parsons like, "That's great. Let me talk to my agent," and then he goes and shakes your hand and says, "We have a deal," and the agent comes back because he doesn't get the commission or whatever, saying, "Screw you, I want more money." Well, yeah, then you're mucking it up. You can't break. You got to understand. We play this game where Jerry's got to come to the player. Well, the player also has to be aware of who Jerry Jones is and understand where he comes from and how his mentality works, because it's a two-way street when it comes to business. Those that you dealt with and those that you're dealing with now. You're not. It's not like he's not doesn't know who Jerry Jones is. He knows who he is. It's not like you haven't talked about this many times. And if he has an agreement with a deal, he's going to honor that. And that is the problem where you have it. The GM is the owner and he makes the deals, and he made a deal with a guy probably without negotiation, one that he probably thought was fair from his people. Said, "I'm going to go ask Micah." Micah, or they brought him up, however they did it. They probably brought him into a room, said, "I'm going to pay you this much money. Do we have a deal?" Said, "Sure," probably shook on it, probably left that day. Micah calls his agent. His agent goes, "What the hell did you agree to?" Micah goes, "Wait, man, we got a great deal." He's like, "No, we don't." That and calls back Jerry Jones, and Jerry's like, "Hey, man, I have a deal with Micah. He said he was good to go." And that agent says, "Screw you, I'm not doing it." So now you're dealing with third party because the agent's not playing. The agent's just playing to get money. This is we're talking about his livelihood here. So I just don't know. I just don't know where this is going to go, and I feel in my gut that he's going to be out there in a limited capacity come Thursday night.
Yeah, I'm just not so convinced about that. I just think really, I think that's going to be like the statement he makes there. That's going to be the final statement for him is that like I won't play, and I just don't see him out there right now. I think the way things stand right now, I just can't imagine he trots out there and puts on a uniform and plays on Thursday night.
But
But
but then to me, if he's going to take that stand, if he's going to take that stand, and I'm the coach and I'm the GM, then don't show up at all. Don't show up at all.
well,
Basically,
that's
what
what a
you're
lot of people were saying they should have done. That's the approach they should have took in the first place because that's the CeeDee Lamb approach. That was the Emmett Smith approach back in the day years ago. I don't know if you remember that
yes,
ugliness
yes.
there. That was
Well,
those were the
I'm a
approaches
little ahead of
there.
my
They
time
didn't
for that.
show
Never
up.
mind.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
They
sure
didn't.
on that. Right. And that's
And
why I
that
told you at the beginning of this. That's why I told you at the beginning of this. When you hold in, it doesn't really do anything for you. But my point is to him is I don't the difference between I don't know if was Emmett Smith under contract or was he just holding out for more money.
I feel like he might have been holding out for more money.
Like I don't know that story fully. I know he held out. They signed him, after the first week because they lost and all that stuff. But I don't know the details of if he was already under contract. Mike is under contract. He could have easily renegotiated in year three. This is year what 5 now of his rookie deal, right? Because next year he's a free agent. So it doesn't behoove him to not play because whoever's out there, he can get more money on the open market, right? The other thing is if he decides not to play week one, if I'm Jerry, I tell him don't show up at all. Don't show up at all. I'd rather have you not show up and do nothing and me pay you for it. And I'll just pay you the checks anyways. You can just sit in your ass. Just don't show up. Because to me, $24 million is there. You're not, as a businessman, regardless of what you're doing negotiation wise, unless I fire you, you're still under contract. So get your ass out there and earn your $24 million that everybody that is in my tax bracket would love to have. Hey, Micah, I'll take your salary for a year. Shit, I take a game check. I'll take a game check. Okay, give me a game check. I'm sure it's
Well, I
probably
mean,
pretty
of course,
heavy.
us
You know,
normal people, those numbers there. It sounds like what the fuck do you mean you complain about playing for $24 million? But it's just the fact that this guy is worth more than that, according to what the NFL market has established for players at his position of his talent. So it just is what it is. I mean, but let's get the iceberg Slim's
well,
comment
well,
here.
well.
What do
To combat
yeah.
that real quick, Trey Hendricks. He's the leading sack leader in the NFL, and he's barely getting paid by the Bengals, right? And he could be up. He should be up there with T.J. Watt and all that because he's dominated the last few years, and he's younger than T.J. Watt and all those guys. So, you know, let's not just say, hey, you know what, $24 million he should be paid. We all know he should be paid more if he plays and does what we think he's going to do, and that's be a fucking absolute beast. It doesn't matter about Jerry Jones. It doesn't matter about the Cowboys because I'm going to get paid from somebody else. And if they're going to put the franchise tag on me, fuck it. I'm still going to force my way out and let me get traded, and they can get the 2 draft picks for me because that's how good I am. And that's what I feel Micah Parsons is. If he wants to prove to me that he wants that money, then go out there and get it right now. Don't fuck the noise. You know you're the best, but they're obviously not going to pay you. So find a way to get that money.
Well, we'll see how it all plays out. But let's get an iceberg Slim's comment, man. Real quick, he brought in something from the Eagles. Eagles secondary is falling by the minute. Makuba is out. Sidney Brown gets a start on the Cowboys. I didn't get to hear that officially, but damn. I mean, your rookie had a good, solid preseason, strong showing. He earned a starting safety slot. And
Are you really worried?
unfortunately, I mean, I think the Eagles are a team that, like I said, Sidney Brown's a pretty solid player as well. I feel like I said, the Eagles have the best depth in the NFL, and this is just a part of next man up thing that they deal. I think they deal with it better than anybody else. So I don't necessarily. I agree with AK's comment there. I don't see that necessarily as them falling apart. I mean, but we'll see what happens. We'll see the impact they could possibly have, but they still have so many other talented guys out there that I don't think the loss of Makuba for a game is gonna kill them. So we'll see.
Well, I mean,
But
Sidney Brown has quick little touch on that. Sidney Brown has knowledge in the defense. You have a pass rush that's supposed to help mask some of these deficiencies. So, you know, next man up, as they say. No one's gonna feel sorry for them.
yeah.
So
You got anything else on the Cowboy? I mean, Will Greer they made sent to their practice squad. I mean, I don't really know
oh
much of the other
joy.
guys they got. Much of the other guys they got on their practice squad. He's about the
You know,
only
the one thing
one.
I
And
thought was interesting is they traded their lineman. Remember that seam guy, the guy that they thought was going to be the heir apparent to Guyton and be used. I just thought it was interesting that they traded a lineman away when they were in desperate need of linemen. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
well,
And I don't have
so
anything
they're
else.
so they're yeah they're gonna roll with so they are gonna roll with Joe Milton as their backup quarterback number 2. They only have 3 quarterbacks as of right now with Will Greer on their practice squad. So I guess he'll get elevated and get that third jersey for that emergency quarterback spot every Sunday for right now as things stand. Being the only other quarterback on their team, but I don't know. I mean, Joe Milton did put together a stronger showing in their last final preseason game, but I still don't know. That's the guy I want to feel confident rolling with if that goes down. But we will find out. Let's move on to Big Blue, man. The New York Football Giants.
Woo!
Wow, wow. Where do we begin, man? It's been an interesting couple of days for the Giants. A lot of tough cuts, man, and a couple that were really, really shocking. What's your thoughts on the New York Giants, man? You got AK said Milton is a dog, just very raw. Give him a year or two. We'll see. I mean, I'm not going to be totally out on the guy, but I know it's just been rough right now. I don't know if he's quite ready right now in case if Dak was to go down. But thoughts on the Giants, Adam?
My thoughts are I'm a little surprised with a few things. I'm surprised at 6 receivers. Well, now technically 5, because apparently they got Gunnar Shinsky. And yes, tough cuts equal progress. I thought they would. I thought they would have had more trades. You know, getting rid of guys, acquiring more either more talent or more draft capital, but they didn't. So I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do there. The linebacking core a little weak. I thought was weak a little bit. Um, and then they only have 3 outside linebackers. Well, technically 4 if you count Trey's 4, but he's on the practice squad. They only have 3 outside linebackers, and that was kind of interesting to me. I'm like, all right, so because they listed on the depth chart under D tackles or D line Chauncey Golston, right? So that to me, I look at Chauncey Golston more as an edge player, but I guess they're using him more in the D line kind of category. So that was kind of interesting to me because that really does put pressure on these 3 guys. You don't have a 4th rotational player. Like you could have had Azeez Ojulari here and had your 4th rotational guy. You know, it's not like Azeez Ojulari is going to be, you know, a starter. He's going to be in when they need him to be in, and his job is going to be wreck the quarterback. We could have done that easily. So I'm just a little worried and concerned about the depth there because Kayvon Thibodeau, unfortunately, is a guy who's been banged up in his career, and he gets banged up during the season. And I would not want to be stuck here, you know, putting out Trace Ford and Brian Burns and Abdul Carter and wear them
Well,
out during the year because
they
they've only got 2
also
guys.
they did also retain Tamon Fox on the practice squad as well. I mean, didn't have the
Right.
strongest offseason this
I like
past
Trace
year, but
Ford before him.
he made some flashes like a season ago, for instance, on this football team, and you kind of know the kind of player you got in him and pinch too if you need to maybe plug him in and get some and see him do some work.
Well,
But
but let's be real. Let's say they were to play a game today, right? I don't think they're calling up Timon Fox as one of the guys that they're bringing up. I think they would just move Chauncey and give kind of Chauncey Golston those outside linebacker kind of
oh
reps.
yeah,
So for me, the reason why I'm a little concerned by it is because the Giants used to have a lot of these guys. You know, they had Thibodeau, they had, you know, Zizo Jalari, they had a couple other guys behind them. They're like, oh, this is a solid little core. They got 3 guys, and that's a lot of pressure to put on these 3 guys who can get worn down. We already saw Brian Burns last year get beat up. He's just physically, you know, not a guy that I would want to put out there all the time because I just think sometimes it limits the effectiveness, right? Because he does get banged up. He fights through. A tough guy. Loved Brian Burns. Loved him coming out of college. But I don't want to put all that pressure on him to have to be all world because he can't get a breather. Even our best defensive lineman, Dexter Lawrence, gets taken out every once in a while. And if you don't have a guy to kind of come in there and kind of give your guy a breather, I don't want to wear them down because this is going to be this defense right now, to me, is solid. I'm not going to put it in top 10 yet or anything like that. I think they're solid on paper. I still think there's a few weaknesses in the back end with Deontay Banks, and we'll find out if some of these things are true come week 1 because they're going to be tested early, and not just week 1, but week 1, week 2, week 3. There's a lot of heavy receivers coming in here. We're going to find out, and then stopping the run is my main concern because the scheme that Bowen runs is not. It doesn't like the linebackers that we have in Brian Burns, Abdul Carter would be better off in a traditional 3-4 as opposed to the wide 9 that we play. Because to me, if I'm doing a 3-4, these guys are standing up and have taken advantage of. Right now, they're putting Abdul Carter over here, over there, and his hands in the dirt. And I don't always think that that's the most advantageous position for a guy because he's going to meet an offensive line that's going to because Abdul Carter's not fully at his man strength yet. He hasn't been in the NFL program. He'll be knocked around a little bit, especially going inside with some of these guys. So I just thought it was weird that they only kept three. I'm worried about the scheme for Shane Bowen because I don't think the players are going to be the problem. We can say Kayvon Thibodeau, blah blah blah, but if he's crashing down because he's been asked to crash down, they bounce outside, or then he goes outside. Now he's too wide because now he has to worry about Jaden Daniels going outside, and they're just running underneath him. It could be a hard, fought year because Shane Bowen's defense in Tennessee wasn't a great defense. It was a good. It was its job was the front four getting to you, which is fine. But if your front four is a wide nine because you're trying to compensate and get more angle for your pass rushers, that sometimes can leave you exposed. And if you only have three pass rushers in there and these guys are getting beaten up because they're running downhill, that's my one concern, about it. Other than that, some of the other roster moves, love that Jackson Dart is number two. He'll be playing a lot sooner than you guys think. We'll get to him in a minute. Running backs, I thought that was interesting. They only kept three. Tight end is where I'm really intrigued because I did not think Greg Dulcich would be cut. If anything, I thought Manhurts would be cut. Do I really need Manhurts and Bellinger and Theo Johnson? All three of those guys can block, right? I mean, not the greatest blockers, but they all can block. Manhurts is a beast. But other than that, all three of the other three guys I mentioned are all you're trying to contribute in the passing game. Manhurts doesn't really do that. So if I were the Giants, I probably would have kept Dulcich and kept Theo Johnson and Bellinger as my two blocking tight ends. And my two receiving tight ends would be Fedoni and Greg Dulcich, right? As Fedoni gets more acclimated. So I thought that was interesting. Their linemen, they have decent linemen. I did not know Josh Azudu went to IR. Is that true?
Yeah, he's on. He's out for at least the first 4 weeks.
You know what sucks? Is that sucks. We talk about him, right? You, me, we're like giving him praise for the first time in probably his career. And he's out. And now it's like, damn it. What were we getting? Like, are you going to lose your spot? Because they've got to then put you on IR permanently or bring you back. And if you like the core of guys that you have right now and you like the practice squad guys, there's no point in bringing Josh Azudu back if they're playing well. Right now, if they're struggling, and they need a jolt, that's where you're going to decide if you need to bring him in here. So unfortunate for Josh Azudu. Technically doesn't count towards the roster, so he's down on the 53. But I thought it was interesting. Those are kind of little facts. I would like to hear your thoughts and what you're thinking here.
Well, I mean, I think, like I said, like a lot of people were concerned the cut when they didn't retain when they released Dante Miller. And honestly, I didn't think he was going to clear. I thought somebody would have snatched him up off of waivers, but yet he still found his way back on the New York Giants practice squad, which is a good thing. I mean, Lil Jordan Humphreys, another guy that they were able to retain, Amir Smith-Marset. These are some of the guys that were
Did they keep Ward, the running back?
They did not.
Because honestly, I
As
would
at
have
least
taken him. I would have taken him
not right
over
now.
Turbo. Just to be honest, he played better than Turbo.
At
But
least not right now. They haven't. I don't know if they're going. They can still change. The practice squad still not all the way set.
do you really think Turbo was going to get picked up by somebody?
I mean, I thought he did enough that somebody could have picked him up for special teams purposes at the very least.
Oh my
The minimum,
god!
yeah.
I wonder who
mean,
our return man's going to be. That's crazy to think. I'm the return man.
Look, as long as Amir Smith-Marset is still here, I could easily see him getting a uniform every week just for that purpose. He's on the practice squad. I could see him. I could see him putting a uniform on him every week when they and elevating him every week to just for the purpose of being a return man. But I just want to say, congratulations, Tommy DeVito. He's gone. He's in New England. New beginnings for him. He can go up there and take chicken cutlets up to New England, up to the Massachusetts, and spread them around Boston a little bit. Tommy DeVito is no longer a New York Giant. He did not clear waivers. The Patriots snatched him up after he absolutely lit their ass up on Thursday night. So I just go ahead and get him, send him off, and we can move on and turn the page on that. But I think we were talking about Joshua Zudu for a second there, and I think one of the things that will potentially opens a door once again, keep opening doors for this guy is a matter of whether he's going to step in or not. Is Evan Neal once again? Now he's like that's less competition for him there. Once again, a guy that now is going to even be they're going to depend on even more in case somebody goes down on that O line and the interior. One of the guards go down. They're going to be looking at Evan Neal once again as far as Joshua Zudu right now. It's not going to be an option. So I just think once again, well, this guy will he ever just take advantage of opportunities this team keeps trying to give him? Man, I don't know. It's a guy to keep an eye on. Jalen Hyatt is another guy. Like I said, just see what this dude, man. Like, look, because at this point, I'm starting to get a little bit exasperated with some of these guys, man. Look, if you're not going to step up, do the things he needs you to do. Look, I don't know what's going on. Jay Ferry's in the chat. How you doing, man? But so as far as what you were talking about with the defense earlier, I think my main concern with the defense is the run defense for sure. I think that's the one thing that really stands out to me as something that could be problematic. But I think with the pass rush, I still just feel confident that this pass rush is going to be ferocious for the most part, and I think that's going to end up really, really, truly helping out and aiding the back end of this defense. Where you might have some deficiencies like with Tay Banks. If Tay Banks continues to have some struggles that he's been having, I mean, I just think that the pass rush up front can really help benefit that and really mask some of those deficiencies. That's just how I feel about that. I just think no matter how you slice it, this is because even what you said with the three edge with the linebacker situation, I think you got to when you talk about the Giants pass rush, you got to include Dexter Lawrence in the mix there. I mean, he's ferocious from the interior as well, so that adds to that New York Giant pass rush. So I feel like really mostly if they can get that run defense in check and just get it under control, don't let teams just absolutely just gash them week in and week out. I feel like this defense could really, really, really be a strong unit, man. I just think it's just too much talent up front over there, man. And if Bobby Okereke can bounce back, I like what Micah McFadden brings to the table as well. I just feel like we got some. It could be pretty interesting on defense for the New York Giants.
That's what concerned me is the linebackers because apparently Okereke and a few guys got sucked up in the run game, right, when they're trying to stop them because now you're selling out for the run because they know your weakness is the run. That guys get caught up in the wash, and that's what happened with Michael McFadden this preseason. That's what happened last year. So I'm a little concerned now that you keep harping on it. That if I'm a coach and I'm sitting down with my adult beverage and I'm going through my plays in my head and weaknesses, and maybe a cigar with something laced nice in it, boom. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking out on my porch a week before the game, like how can I exploit this cheat? Well, I know what I'm going to do because if the Giants can suck up the run and sell out because that's what they're going to do, right? They were not a good run team. And regardless of the pass rush, it's not an advantage to you to just rush four guys, right, against the run. You have to, eventually you're going to be outmanned if you don't bring something. So my concern will be is Michael McFadden still has the same problem that he has in preseason where he kind of gets caught in the wash. And if that happens, and this defense can't stop the run, we're going to be pretty upset because I've seen pass rushes like last year. People forget last year the Giants pass rush was one of the best in the league. They were leading the league in sacks at one point. What fell apart was they couldn't hold leads because their offense was inept, and then they couldn't get turnovers and they couldn't stop the run. So the two things that need to happen for this defense, for me to be good, is you need them to get pass rush. I mean, you need to run, you need to get turnovers. Because I don't know how good this offense is going to be, but I definitely know this defense needs to be the focal point. And sometimes when you put that much pressure on a team, you could get gashed. And it's not because, again, it's not going to be because Kayvon Tulio sucks. It's going to be because he's lined up outside the tackle and he's rushing the passer on the outside, or he gets caught up inside because he doesn't move and he gets caught up in the wash because these guys don't know how to set run lanes, and that's the only thing I'm worried about. And the linebackers aren't. They're great when they're downhill, but if they're getting caught in the wash, and I
Right.
don't know about Karate, man. I don't know about him, yo. I have my doubts. I'm sorry. I know you like him, but I have my doubts.
I don't. I feel like I feel good about Bobby Okereke. I feel like up front, man, if we got these guys, Dexter, Roy Robertson, Harrison, they can keep these guys, keep them linemen occupied, keep them off field, getting to that next level, getting up to your linebackers. I think between the way McFadden, Okereke had the ability, way they move and can flow. As long as you keep them guys, keep them big guys off of them, man, because that's what a lot of it comes down to, man. Up front, man, doing your job up front as well, and I think we got the dogs to do it now. So I feel like that's just going to be a difference, hopefully, in that, and being able to have Bobby Okereke and Michael McFadden be able to flow a little bit better and be able to help combat that. And I just think I feel like this is going to be a big bounce back year for Bobby Okereke. I think last year something was off last year with him. I can't after the season he had a year before in 2023. I can't just write the guy off because of last year's because of a down year a season ago. I think he bounces back this year and gets back to form, man, and becomes that linebacker that they brought in, man, a couple of years ago in free agency. But Jay Ferry says, "You okay with Dane Belton? Dane Belton at safety number 3? I'm okay with that because he's proven to be a guy that can come in and make some plays here and there for you. He is what he is. He's not anything special by no means, but he's always proven to be that guy that comes in and he'll get an interception randomly out of here and there, cover a fumble. He just kind of always has a nose for the football. So when his number's called, he usually has some degree of effectiveness out there.
Well, Dane Belton is a guy that just won't go away, but they still invested in the safety anyways. So we'll see
Well, they
how
only
he
kept
does.
3, so that's why I feel like that's how they only kept 3 anyway.
Right. I mean, but they went with a rookie. They went with a guy. They went with an undrafted rookie, anyways, when they could have just kept one of their own guys, and they didn't. And Dane Belton made it because they don't have much depth. There's no one to beat him out. It's his job. And I mean, he's been a turnover machine. I can't complain about Dane Belton. I'm a little sad because they brought in Javon Holland over him, but you sometimes you got to bring in better talent, right? So we'll see. He's going to probably be relied upon in this defense because, again, the scheme is what I'm worried about. Okay. You were talking about Bobby Okereke. The reason why he looked like a beast in Wink Martindale's defense is because he was identified by Wink Martindale to come over and give them the blitz presence that they needed at the middle linebacker position. And he did a lot more of that. In Shane Bowen's defense, he wasn't blitzing the same way. He was more of a sideline to sideline guy, and he got caught up in the wash. Not to mention he also got injured, which didn't help. So scheme does matter, and what I mean by that is that if Wing Martindale brings you in, that's why I think Deontay Banks is failing because the scheme you're basically what does my friend say? Buko, he's like you basically are getting guys that don't fit your scheme and telling them to run the scheme anyways, right? So basically, Dane Belton is drafted for Wing Martindale's scheme. Wing points him out, says, Joe, I want that guy. He's the corner I need, right? You then insert Shane Bowen, who now inherits a guy who doesn't necessarily fit his scheme. And now this guy has to learn a new scheme that doesn't fit his strengths, but now he has to learn it. So then we look at Deontay Banks in a less of a light and say that he's a bust. My words, not yours, where that's what he's going to look like as a first round pick because the defense that he's in doesn't necessarily fit the skill set that he's applying. And I think that's what's happening with Shane Bowen is he's got a lot of toys in the in the garage to play with. It's a matter of how he's going to deploy them. Because if Deontay Banks goes off to another team and utilizes him as a press corner, a big, burly, 6'1", 205 corner, which is what you need when you have a blitz heavy team, to now a guy who has to stand, 5 yards off, 10 yards off the ball, because now your defense has to kind of play that way because we're only rushing 4, and you can't do the same things in the scheme because we're not relying on the blitz the same way. Then it makes you look different, and I think that's why Okerake's fall came is not necessarily he's a bad player. He don't fit the scheme and what they're trying to do. He did with Mink Martindale, and that's why I'm keep harping on this defense. Like as much as I like Shane, what I read about Shane Bowen, he's lived up to everything that he's did in Tennessee, and they weren't a great defense in Tennessee. They had good players, but they weren't ranked high in a lot of their categories. In pass rush by 4 players, yes, but other than that, they didn't turn the ball. They didn't get many turnovers. The third downs weren't very good. They didn't stop the run a whole hell of a lot. They were middle of the road, and their pass uh, defense was bottom third of the league. And I'm just worried that this guy's coming in to a defense and inheriting a Brian Burns who probably doesn't fit his defense, a Kayvon Thibodeau who doesn't fit his defense, and then they're saying, you know what, go run my defense, and this is how we play, right? And now you're going to see Brian. Do you think? I don't think Brian Burns is a run stuffer. That guy should be getting the quarterback. Now you're going to tell me he's going to have to stop and you know get the run? Then you need to build your defense in a 4-3 or get defensive ends that can take that pounding that is going to be needed to stop the run and not rely on a guy like a Kayvon Thibodeau or Bobby Okereke, who is supposed to knife through and be a blitzer. Sorry, didn't mean to go on my rant.
He says here only Dulcich and Cutlass got picked up. So yeah, you're right. I didn't see the report on Dulcich yet, but yeah, he said he got picked up by Miami. I think you said, and obviously we know
Yes.
Tommy Cutlets is in New England.
I'm making cutlets right now, people. I'm smelling them. They're pretty good. It's in honor of Tommy Cutlets. I knew he got cut, so Mac knows how I feel about Tommy Cutlets. Thank God. Thank God. And nothing against Tommy Cutlets. It's just the fact that the Giants fan base were so bereft of quarterback talent that any glimmer of hope we were clinging to. And that guy won us some games. Damn near cost us a quarterback. Thank God we got Jackson Dart. Don't need to worry about that anymore. But I will close with this on my point about the Giants, at least. I don't know if we're going to close the show, but at least my point. I'm on the start Jackson Dart bandwagon. I know what you feel about Russell Wilson. I know what you're saying about the process. To me, throw that shit out the window. Rip the Band-Aid right off. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going for it right now. I'm getting on that train, and I'm telling you that if you believe in Dart now, then if you believe that Dart will be good down the road, then you've got to believe that he's got to be good now. And there's no point in just not putting him out there to see. Now, obviously, Russell's going to get the start. But to me, I think you're going to see Jackson Dart play more than you think. Get a couple series in Washington. Watch goal line play. He's going to run an RPO. He's going to run a quarterback sneak. He's going to get integrated like that because he can do that, right? So if he's number 2 on the team and you kept Jameis Winston, who also you had inquiries about, and you kept Winston, tells me already what I need to know. You're keeping him because you want all that knowledge in the room, but he's also under contract, and you know that Dart's going to eventually have to play a role because you can't dress 3 quarterbacks. You just can't. You're not going to be able to. So what are you going to do? Put the kid on the bench?
They do dress 3 quarterbacks, but the third one's only an emergency run a quarterback.
Right. Well, sorry. I'm sorry, Mac. They do dress 3, but it has to go. Did they do dress 3? Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, because the third one's the emergency. He can only go in case the first 2 go down.
Right.
He can't
So
just
the point is if Winston is the third quarterback, right? That only tells me what I need to know. And if you're going to put Dart at number 2, well then put him at number 1 because it doesn't really matter at that point to see the grizzled veteran. I know what the Mr. Unlimited can do. I understand what he can do. I need to see a new kid. This season is just about having fun, building your confidence, and seeing if you can strike lightning. If you can't, you might as well get your reps in now and get this kid started. And that's basically my argument for it because I've seen enough to know where I feel they're not going to ruin him. I think people have PTSD from Daniel Jones and that experience, and that's why they don't want to see him start more so than actual facts. Because when you look at it, and I went over this with another person I was having a conversation with, I was like, yo, what about Kansas City? What about Green Bay? What about, Green Bay in 08 and all this and that and the other thing? And they're like, you realize that Kansas City was a playoff team, and they lost the wild card game the year before. They knew they were going to be good, and they brought their heir apparent, knowing that they were still a good team. So they had the luxury to sit this kid. So did Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. The Green Bay Packers had luxury of sitting him, right? Because they had Brett Favre in front of him. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. They were a winning team. They didn't have anything to lose, right? They probably could have started Love, but Aaron Rodgers still playing good. We have Russell Wilson, folks. Guy who hasn't played good in 3 seasons. He's played average. I'd rather see
Nah,
Jackson Dart.
but he's still right now. Come on, right now at this stage of their careers, where they're at, still can't just say propel Jackson Dart over Russell Wilson right now. I mean, that's
Well, if you're
my
looking at
thing.
the
Like,
resume, no. But if you're talking about who gives you the best chance of being dynamic in your offense, I believe Jackson
well,
Dart.
I mean, as far as the dynamic part, I agree. I do can agree with you there from that standpoint. I mean, Russell Wilson obviously doesn't move around the way he used to when he was a youngster, but I feel like if you're serious about trying to get off to a good start to your season, I feel like you go with the veteran Russell Wilson, a guy that you probably believe right now is built more ready to try to lead you to some victories, at least in the early part of this season. I just feel like if that's what you're trying to do right now. I understand the whole Jackson Dart thing. He looked great in the preseason. It's all good. But like I said, like I said it last week, and I'll say it again. Regular season energy is a lot different. It's a lot different.
But
It's not.
but
It just is.
but to me, I don't have time to worry about, you know, how kid gloves, because the NFL is the NFL. Okay, just because the Saints may look promising, how do we know the Saints don't have their best game against the Giants? Right. My point is I don't need to sugarcoat him and build him up. I just need to throw him out there, and it's my job as the coach to not get him to be overwhelmed. Figure out what's working, and then the worst case scenario, if I need to pull him, I pull him and I put the veteran in to do what I got to do. That's what most of these teams that are going to have first round quarterbacks do. The Browns aren't going to do it because they don't have technically a first round quarterback investment. They have a third and fifth round quarterback investment. And if their team goes to shit, they'll throw those guys in there and nobody will care. The Giants invested in this guy. They didn't invest in the same way in Russell Wilson. They got him in case as a backup plan they couldn't get a quarterback, right? They got the quarterback they wanted. So now why do I need to wait for kid gloves? The only experience is the experience he's going to get in there. And you can tell me, well, playing the Cowboys in January is different than playing the Cowboys in September. It doesn't matter to me, because if the Cowboys in the playoffs or the Eagles are in the playoffs, it's still going to be hard, no matter if it's week 1 or week 15. So to me, I don't need to see Russell Wilson because I understand what he can do. Jackson Dart, one of the weaknesses of Wilson that Dart does better is he sees the middle of the field.
He
Unfortunately, Russell
does.
Unfortunately,
Russell
Russell is
Wilson has
not.
a thing with the middle of the field. I get that, but
He doesn't. He doesn't. Well, look, this is what's going. This is what I believe is going to happen. This, reality check said it's similar to Carson Wentz. I believe it's going to be similar to the Daniel Jones Eli Manning situation. And what I mean by that is, when we watched Eli Manning in 2019, the Giants couldn't move the ball offensively, but there was chances for Eli to run. But because Eli was a stationary guy or didn't have the juice in his legs, the offense wasn't as explosive as what you thought. Then they put in the kid Daniel. Obviously, Daniel Jones sucks. But my point is they put in the kid for a little bit more juice. And I think you're going to see that. I think Russell Wilson is going to be average. The Giants offense is going to move the field, make some big plays here and there, and score you to 18 to 21 points a game, right? But they're not going to have the same juice. When they get Jackson Dart in, they're going to be able to ping, 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 hurry up and move the ball and do all this. It's going to be less methodical. And I think a lot of people are anticipating Russell Wilson to be this renaissance. And I'm looking at the guy like he's 37 years old on his third fucking team, and a team that didn't even want him that has more quarterback troubles than we do. So if they didn't want him and he's coming to us, why do I need to waste time watching that guy when I have Jackson Dart? Now, had
I
you
just
told
think
me,
I just hold on, because I just think here's my thing with Russell Wilson. Like I said, I'm a realist too. I get it. I know that he's not, like I said, he's not the old school Russell Wilson. I get it. But this guy is, I just think people are discounting him a little too much. he's not the scrub people are making him out to be either. Like he's not that. He's still like up here earlier. AK made the comment about like it reminds him of the situation Carson Wentz saying, no, because the reason I disagree with that is because at this stage of Russell Wilson's career, he is still better than what Sam Bradford was then. Like that to me is a different situation. Where if all we got is a guy like that standing in front of me, then okay. But Russell Wilson is a guy that even last year in Pittsburgh, whether how we like it or not, he won football games for the Pittsburgh Steelers last year. He's still the quarterback that can go out there and win football games. I just think he's being discounted a little too much. I just think that when you got a guy like that here, why not just go ahead, let this veteran go? The rookie Jackson Dart can learn so much still. I mean, and he's proven that already because obviously, like I said, it didn't just come in and he was just blowing us all away from day one of training camp and whatnot. It was a step-by-step process with him. He continued to improve and he got better. But you have so much you can still learn. And if you're in a situation where you have a guy that can potentially go out there and win you some football games, you got to also look at it from the Brian Daboll and Joe Shane standpoint. They're trying to hold on to their jobs as well. So if you got a guy that can go out there and win you some football games, potentially, then I mean, why not go with that at least for the start? Like I said, I'm excited for Jackson Dart as like you guys all are, but I feel like when you have a Russell Wilson on this roster, a guy like that, then you don't necessarily have to rush the rookie out there right away. You just don't have to.
Here,
he's not like a Sam Bradford. He's not like Marcus Mariota last year when Jaden Daniels came in. He's better than guys like that. So to me, I mean, you can just I just don't feel the need to rush him out there.
Listen, I think people are misunderstanding what I'm trying to say. Russell Wilson is a solid player. Yes. Is he the best quarterback the Giants have had in the last 5 years to start? Obviously. But to me, I'm looking at it like I'm not looking at Russell Wilson the same way you guys are, right? Where you think he has a little juice in the tank. You know why? Because the guy in the chat who told me of a piece of advice, a reality check, he goes, you got to follow the money, right? That'll tell you how much investment they have in a player or not, right? Or how they use draft capital, right? And that draft, the money that they have allotted to Russell Wilson tells me that guy is not necessarily going to be there for the starting role. And why do I have to wait game 1 or game 2 or game 3 if I already know they're pretty even? And it's my job as Brian Daboll to put the rookie in a good spot to play the game. Then I look better because you say, "Oh, my job's on the line." Look, if he makes Jackson Dart look good and the team is 7-10, he's keeping his job. The only way Brian Daboll loses his job in all this is if the team falls apart and it's 3-13. That's the only way. But if this team has any glimmer of hope, and this guy comes in and he's from day one shelling it out, it doesn't make sense. I get what you guys are saying with Russell Wilson. I understand he's a leader. I like that. I understand that he brings calming presence. I like that. Hell, I was happy that he was signed as a quarterback. But I look at Matthew Stafford. They would have signed him to $100 million. At that point, I'm not even clamoring for Jackson Dart. I know that guy's not going to be seen because the investment money that we've got in him. In Russell Wilson, they paid him $10.5 million. Okay, and that's not a lot of money. And his incentives are $21.5 million, which means he's probably not going to make those incentives. And to me, he's got backup quarterback money, and I got a guy already over here that's going to basically. I'm going to hang my hat on. Nobody's going to remember Russell Wilson if Brian Daboll's here the next couple of years. They're going to remember the development of Jackson Dart. So why not get started early on that and get him into the fire and see what he can do and what he can't do, then worry about next year when your team is going to be one step or should be one step closer to being a wild card and NFC team. I got to worry about now quarterback, seeing defenses for the first time. I just think, to me, having Russell Wilson there, yes, you don't have to start him. However, you don't have to start the rookie. However, if the rookie gives you juice, he's a valuable resource, Russ, who can help the coach say, listen, I see this happening. Well, on this defense, you should see this. On this, you should see that. When he's living it real time. Because I don't know about you, but I learn things more hands-on. So to sit me down for a year and just learn. Sure, I learn, but then what's going to happen when the way that you're teaching me doesn't happen in reality? Because the way that I'm looking at things is not going to always happen in the game, and someone's experience is different than your experience, and you can only get that through learning and sharing. And if Jackson Dart's never seen anything, he can't share anything. All he's doing is learning. So that when he does have a problem and you clear out the room next year, right, for new quarterbacks to come in here, there's not gonna be a resource to lean on. Right now, I think he needs to be out there and coached up by Russell Wilson and use him that way. I don't To me, I don't need to see Russell Wilson, especially if the Giants go fucking 0-4 or 1-3, I'm pulling the plug. I'm sorry. I don't need to see him for game 6. I know this is a long-winded rant. Sorry.
Well, look, I'm here. What's going on too, Zion? Appreciate you tapping in, by the way. But here's my thing. Bookends. It's not that I don't think we can. It's not that I don't have faith that we could win with Dart. I think the kid he showed us some stuff. I just feel like right now, if I'm being honest with myself, right now, I still believe right now, currently, Russell Wilson gives us the better chance. Currently, right now, if we want to try to get some wins early on in this, with the way in this schedule, I do believe that. I believe Russell Wilson gives us the better chance right now. Currently,
I'm the opposite. I believe,
and I just don't feel like that. Because I don't know. With Jackson Dart, I seen what I saw in preseason and it looked good, but I still don't know for sure. I know Russell Wilson can win football games in the NFL. I know that. That's something we know. I know we know. We've seen it. We know. It's not the same as it used to be once it used to be, but I get what. But I just don't believe in rushing a process that doesn't have to be rushed. Right. I want to have faith in what these coaches are doing, what they're seeing, and what they believe. I believe if they really felt in their strong convictions that Jackson Dart right now he's absolutely the best to throw out there and win us football games early. I want to believe that they would do that. I want to believe that they would make that move.
I don't, because of what you're trying to say here is they're trying to save their job. For me, I have seen Brian Dable win with fucking Tommy DeVito. I've seen him win with fucking Daniel Jones. I'm pretty sure that he can come up with a game plan that can help Jackson Dart, right? And he didn't. The moment didn't look too big for him. He was able to do the offense, right? You don't need to throw the whole playbook at this guy. You just get plays that he knows, and he can be effective for you. And he's still getting the same experience. I get what you're saying, but if this was Green Bay and we had Aaron Rodgers signed to 2 more years of $25 million, and we drafted this kid who was raw and wasn't picking up the playbook like a Jordan Love at Nevada, then I'd be worried. My man in the chat, Zion, always says he played the SEC. He played in big time moments. He played in big time games. He's already got the big game experience, and he's already the most talented quarterback that he's had, that Brian Dable has had, and he knows that it's his guy. He's already said it in interviews. So just make him there. Now, if you have Russell Wilson being a mentor and a backup, it's not a bad thing. And he was gonna, he went to Pittsburgh and they were a good team, but they weren't an explosive offense. He was. I think you guys are looking at how Russell was and what they did in Pittsburgh. Now he's going to come here and be stabilizing presence and know how to talk and be a leader. That's good. But to me, the kid is missing valuable reps because we want to hope to get him in by the Saint game if we're bad, and hope to get him in by week 10 in the Patriot game if we, are not necessarily knocking the wild card by week 10. To me, it's just put him in there and see what he's got. The only way you're going to know if this kid sinks or swims is if you put him in. It's not, putting him in there and not getting him, acclimated. Oh, because Russell Wilson, great. I've seen many quarterbacks have history. Look at Joe Flacco. I mean, Joe Flacco should Joe Flacco be starting? And if we were the Cleveland Browns and we had that same situation where we drafted a 3rd round quarterback, I'd be all for it. I'd be like, you know what, start Joe Flacco. Let the 3rd round pick or 2nd round pick develop. Like if we had Jalen Milroe, I'd be all about Russell Wilson starting. We don't. We took a guy in the 1st round who I believe and see can play. Let the kid play.
Look, like I said, I'm fine. Like I said, I love what I see from the kid, and I just want to trust the process right now and let it go. I'd rather let it play out and the way it's playing out because I just feel like it's not like Russell Wilson came in here and he's had some kind of bad like he's got built the continuity with these players. I just don't.
Welcome to your NFL headline.
I just don't see any reason to just. I just don't see. I just don't see a reason to have to rush Jackson Dart out there like right away.
Well, like I said, you mentioned something, not rushing out there. I get it, and not the pressure. But I'm going to tell you this: I don't think it's going to be Russell Wilson's going to have the leash that everyone thinks, because whether it's by circumstance, by just someone knocking him out of a game, his play, whatever, the pressure is going to be too much to get this kid in the game. John Mara is not going to want to wait till next year to see this guy because
I don't want to wait till next year to see him. That's not what I'm saying at all.
And so to me, but to me, if you're wanting to start him week 8, then just start him week 1. I want to see how he comes out. I want to see him at the beginning, middle, and end of the season. I don't want to see him in garbage time of football games where teams have mailed it in, or there's not much pressure because you're playing the fucking, I don't know, the lowly Colts who are out of the fucking playoffs. And what evaluation are we getting that other than that's a glorified preseason game like it was a few weeks this year? Right? Me, put the pressure on him. Let's see what he does week 1, how he comes out, how he, navigates the pressures of being a starting NFL quarterback. Right? Because he's, I trust the process. Trust the process of the drafting, the scouting. The reason you believe this guy was a franchise quarterback, you got to trust that. And you got to say, you know what, Russ? I love you, man, but this kid is going to be here next year, and you might not be. And you know what? We gave you $10 million guaranteed. Just sit back, be a mentor to this kid, lean on him when the time is needed, right? It's happened across the league. And you can just let him start. Go ahead.
I was happy. You think Russell Wilson would have been signing up for that if he knew that up front? I'm just asking you, like a real question.
Of course he did.
Do you think he would have signed up for that?
No. Well, here, timeout. You can't predict the draft. So he's coming here knowing that he's a starting quarterback, right? And plus, he had no other suitors that were going to pay him the money he was looking for. All right, so he had 2 places: the Browns, who didn't really want him, and the Giants, who gave him a low offer, saying, "Hey, you're not a great starting quarterback. Well, hey, we need you right now because we have Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, and we're gonna." They knew that he was going to draft a quarterback because it's not like they weren't talking in February. In February at the combine, we knew they were going to draft a quarterback. They knew Shedeur Sanders might be a prospect, or Cam Moore. If Russell Wilson is that naive to come here and not know that he's might get drafted under, then that's Russell Wilson's bad. Because at 37 years old, with a top 3 pick, there's a chance the Giants might have picked the quarterback at that position. They ended up picking one anyways in the first round. And so now you have to think like they invested a draft pick, a top draft pick, a first rounder in him. If they did a Kyle McCord or a Jalen Milroe and took him in the 3rd round, I wouldn't even be worried about that. I'd be like, let the kid play, sit down. Russell Wilson's got this. This kid needs a lot more developing. This kid, you clearly can see with the tutelage he had from April to now, can play in the NFL. So why not let me see his growth from week to week to week to week? And I don't think the moment's too big for him. To me, all you're telling me is, well, Russell's done this, Russell's done that. All right, well, it's not like Jackson Dart played his way to being.
What I'm saying is, I feel like people are discounting Russell Wilson, like as if he's just like at this point just not even a worthy starter in the NFL. I feel like there are still teams around the league, not just the New York Giants, that Russell Wilson right now could be the week 1 starter next week for other teams around the NFL right now. I mean, still, it's like that's just a realistic thing. I mean,
right? But let's take it back. All right, we go to March. He had a chance to be a starting quarterback for a lot of these teams that need quarterbacks. He had Tennessee. No, you know why he didn't go to Tennessee? 1, they didn't want him, and 2, they knew he had the 1st overall pick. Pittsburgh, who needed a quarterback, said, "Fuck you. Here's the door. We want to pay Justin Fields, who's probably even worse than Russell Wilson, more money than you." So they let him walk out the door. Right? Denver kicked him to the curb when he had Sean Payton and a quarterback guru. Right? So I'm not saying Russell Wilson's not good. I think he's the best quarterback we've had. But there's a reason why he got paid $10.5 million and Matthew Stafford got $100 million. Right? There's a difference in the 2 expectation levels of quarterbacks who are damn near the same age in reality. right? One's 36, 38, whatever, and the other one's 36, 37, right? So Matthew Stafford got $100 million because he's 38 and they're trying to go to the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson got $10.5 million because he's a backup quarterback at best. That's going to keep the seat warm for another kid. But since you drafted this kid in the first round, I don't need to keep the seat warm. Just let him keep the backup seat warm, and be that guy that you guys talked about, that knowledge base, that coach. Hey, you saw what he did on the sideline when the kid was frustrated and he had like a pout on his face. Russell Wilson made him laugh, and he got over whatever the fucking shit that was bothering him about. That's what Russell Wilson needs to do. He doesn't need to play on the field for me to be like, oh, that's right. I know what Russell Wilson is. I don't know what Jackson Dart is. Therefore, I want to find out. Therefore, he needs the experience. Russell Wilson is on a decline. As much as we want to love him, he's on the decline. It's okay to say that. And
I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying that he is still a competent starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't think he's like what you just said. He's a backup at best. I don't agree with that statement at all. There's teams around this league right now that if he was on those teams, he would be the starting quarterback week 1 next week. There's other teams on in this league. It's not just. I'm not saying that because I'm trying to. Hope Russell Wilson is. I'm saying because that's what he is. He's still a competent starting quarterback. He's not the greatest anymore by no means. He's not a
Joe
top
Flacco's
10 guy.
Starting quarterback right now.
By no means. But I think if Russell Wilson was in Cleveland, Russell Wilson would be starting over Joe Flacco more likely than not.
Listen,
right?
That's just the truth. Let me ask you this question: Who's better quarterback, Daniel Jones or Russell Wilson?
Russell Wilson.
So
who will also be starting in Indianapolis.
Why is it that Daniel Jones is getting $14 million and Russell Wilson's getting $10.5 million? Like, the money is what the money is. Like, he got backup quarterback money, and it's not like I'm not like relying on him to win me a lot. Like with Russell Wilson, I still think we're winning 6 or 7 games. We'll be competent on offense, but it's not like I'm like, oh yeah, I signed Russell Wilson and here we go, or away we go. No, I know what he's going to bring. I like Russell Wilson. It's not an indictment on Russell Wilson. This is me telling you that the youth movement needs to start, and I don't need to sit here and wait till week 6 or week 7 if we're out of the playoff race. You'll know. You'll know by probably week 3. Week 4, if this offense isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing, then I don't want to sit here and wait and say and hope. I know what Jackson Dart was doing in limited reps. I feel that Brian Daboll, even though I don't like him as a head coach, understands how to make a young quarterback not get overwhelmed. Because look what he did with a shitty Daniel Jones. Look what he did with a shitty Tommy DeVito and those guys. And he was able to get them to be functional. So I understand what you're saying in terms of winning games, but to me, I understand that to me, Brian Daboll is not about winning games. It's about if this quarterback is good. Because if he's not good in 2026 under your tutelage, it's not going to matter anyways. You're going to be fired anyways. But if he progresses this season and he looks good from week 1 to week 17, all of a sudden, regardless of the record, Brian Daboll's getting another year.
What's going on, too, though, man? Thanks for popping in, man. Appreciate you. We about to wrap up soon, but just been talking to NFC East talk, man, like we do every week, me and Adam, man. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, we're clearly not going to completely come to terms, agree on this, but it's cool. I love it. I love the dynamic. I love that we have different opinions on this. It makes it more interesting, man. But I don't know. Like I said, we'll see what happens. Like I said, I want to see. I want to see Jackson Dart at some point. I just don't feel a need to see him right away.
We waited 6 years.
When you got somebody competent right now that can get things started, get the ball rolling, and who knows? Let's go down a hypothetical road again and see what if Russell Wilson does catch lightning in the bottle and he makes a little statement for himself to let the league know that look, I can still do this, and he ain't going to be part of the Giants. It's not going to make him be part of the Giants any longer. But at the same time, I mean, just even for himself personally, I mean, none of us really know any of this right now. Who knows the situation is truly behind the scenes in Pittsburgh, Denver, the last few years of his career where things have seemed like they kind of went off the rails a little bit. I mean, even that last year in Seattle wasn't that great, honestly, if I'm being honest. But still, it's just to me, I just feel like when you got a situation like we have, it's just not a need to throw this kid out there when he may not still truly be quite ready and just say take the lumps and go through the learning process that way. I mean, look,
Well,
I hear what you're saying. I'm a practical learner too. I like to learn by doing things too. That's how I learn better too, by actually doing it as opposed to just sitting around watching somebody. But look, I think we put ourselves in a situation that we don't have to put the kid out there right away. I think they knew that they wanted to acquire a quarterback in the draft. Even when they signed Russell Wilson, they still knew that they wanted to do and had an idea what they wanted to do for sure. And what obviously they didn't know they were going to be able to pull it off, and they did at the end of the day. But you still got a vet like that in here.
plans change.
I just don't see the need for it.
Look, plans change. You heard stuff and you don't think that you can get him up to speed. He's come in and he's done a better job than you've expected. So now it's time to give him more, not less, right? To me, you're giving him less and then trying to give him more. Where you're like, oh we'll wait till week 4. Oh, but the team's doing well. We'll wait till week 7. Like, just put him in the game. Put him in the game. Now, if this were a different situation where the Giants were a playoff team, I might not be as, like when the Kansas City Chiefs did to Alex Smith. I probably am not a Chiefs fan saying, hey, put the number 12 pick in the draft in already. However, when you saw him play and they knew he was good, they only did that because they had a team that was ready-made for playoffs and trying to make a Super Bowl run. So they were going to do that real quick. I know that Russell Wilson is not getting any better. I know that he's not going to – the lightning in the bottle that you think he's going to catch, I don't think is this offense for him.
I don't know that for sure. I can't say that because when you got a dynamic receiver like Malik Neighbors that go out there and utilize – something Russell Wilson can do great, which is get that deep ball down the field. I mean, who knows what can really happen, honestly, until we actually see it play out on the field. So that's what I'm saying. Let it play out on the field and then go from there and then figure it out and then go from there and make decisions as you got to make them. But right now, I think the best decision is to do what they're doing right now. I feel strongly about that they're making the best decision right now, for right now.
In Pittsburgh, right, George Pickens had 3 touchdowns with Russell Wilson. Okay, what I'm saying to you is that their offense was very conservative. He fits their offense. He's a conservative quarterback that's going to be. You're going to predominantly be run heavy. You're going to rely on the run game. You're going to rely on the play action deep ball. Blah blah blah. Dart gives you the element of a scramble for a big gain, a RPO play action. But he gives you more on your offense that Russell Wilson's limitedness right now doesn't give you. Can he be a starting quarterback? Obviously, a low-end starter. That's what he is, a very, very low-end starter, high-end backup, because he's going to the Hall of Fame. He's like Joe Flacco to me right now. He's going to get 1-year deals until, he decides he doesn't want to play anymore. All right. Now, if Russell Wilson has this renaissance that you think, which I don't believe they're going to give him $11 million.
I didn't say I think that. I'm just saying it could happen. I didn't say I thought it necessarily was going to happen. I said it could happen.
Either way, you put that scenario out there that if he does well, the thing is, if he does well, then why am I a Giant? If we run the table, make the Super Bowl, then why am I going to now get rid of Russell, right? For Jackson Dart. You see what I'm saying? Like, at this point, if you believe that this guy was going to be it and the Giants believe they were going to be a Super Bowl contender, right, then you pay Matthew Stafford any amount of money that he wants. And maybe they did. But that, to me, showed me more than getting Russell Wilson. Now, I liked the Russell Wilson move. I still like it to this day. All I'm saying right now is judging by the value of a quarterback picked in the first round, as opposed to like a Jalen Milroe picked in the 3rd round, where Milroe has a lot of talent, but he's very raw, and I don't think that I want to put him out there. I have Russell Wilson to take that, and Dylan Gabriel, same way. I have all that, to take that, and that guy can do it. Jackson Dart's in a different situation, because while you don't have to force him out there, I believe you should, because why not? To me, it does. If you're getting in there at week 8 or you're getting him at week 1, I just want to see him, and I want to see him learn. And I'd rather give him more games than less to see what he can do, and to then evaluate Brian Daboll on what I brought him as an owner, John Mara, in here to do, and that's to make a young quarterback good. I didn't bring him in here to make a washed-up Russell Wilson be, have a renaissance and a rebirth, because right now I'm not thinking about that guy. It's nice to have Russell Wilson here for appearances and go down to the to the bank and do this and do that and represent our franchise. But Russell Wilson had to know and needs to know the hard conversation. Like, look, we're going to be playing Jackson Dart at some point. I'm going to start him on week 1. He's earned that right from me to play with the first team offense, to get drives going. And you're probably going to see him in the games. And when he starts to perform and, Russell Wilson goes 3 and out, the groundswell will be too much to just have him sit on the bench.
Well, then that'll be different. We cross that path when we get to it. But I think Russell Wilson at this stage of his career can still get an opportunity to see what he still got while he's still here. I mean, if he has anything, if he doesn't, then we move on. That's just what that's. I mean, we're in that situation. But now,
unless you're Matthew Stafford, and you're playing at a high level like that on a team that's there. Aaron Rodgers got $8 million. Joe Flacco got like dirt money. There are guys around the league are getting paid this money, and most likely when you're in that age bracket that Russell Wilson is, you're not looking to start. And what makes the red flag for me is the Pittsburgh Steelers went from 37-year-old Russell Wilson to 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, a guy who didn't even play, if you want to compare, as well as each other. And they decided to move on from this guy. So now I'm supposed to sit here and have a guy who's trying to rectify his career, which is good. You want to see that because it aligns with what you want to do. But I'm supposed to believe all of a sudden he's going to be the Renaissance? No, he was a bridge quarterback. To me, it was where you drafted the quarterback was as long as the bridge was going to be. You drafted one in the 3rd round, probably later on in the season. You drafted one in the 2nd round, probably mid-season. You drafted one in the 1st round, that motherfucker should be right there with you. It should be an open competition at that moment when he walked through the door. It shouldn't have been given to Russell Wilson. It should have been said, let's earn it. They gave it to Russell Wilson, which is going to be harder to take away. And that's why I'm telling you right now, just rip the Band-Aid off and just start the kid. You have the investment in him. He's going to be here 5 years.
That's my point. He's going to be here regardless. So, I mean, and like I said, no matter what, I feel like he's going to be on the field at some point this year. It's just a matter of when. But I just don't, like I said, why? I mean, look, we're not going to ever come to an agreement on it. Look, you're making a good argument. I'm not discounting your argument. But at the end of the day, I just feel strongly, I believe in what I'm saying over here. I just believe that right now with a quarterback like Russell Wilson, with his resume, what he's been able to do in this league, and what he even still, like I said, whether you like it or don't like it, what he's shown, he's still right now a better answer to start the season off for you. I mean, it just is what it is. Jackson Dart is still a rookie. It doesn't matter if he's a 1st-round pick or not. He's still a rookie at the end of the day. And it's not like Russell Wilson is one of these like I said, he's not like just some scrub veteran quarterback that's here that you're starting in front of him. That would make, to me, that's the difference right there, is the player that you start. It's not like I said, it's different scenarios. And I hear the Kansas City thing you're talking about. I hear all of that you keep talking about, the whole Kansas City thing you're talking about with all that.
Browns. I don't think it's different than the Browns.
I think it is different than the Browns, because I think if Joe Flacco, if what you call was on the Browns right now, he'd be starting over Joe Flacco. He absolutely would.
Right. He'd be doing the same thing that right now. We would have Joe Flacco doing the same thing that we're doing right now. We would probably say Joe Flacco's a starter, even though we know that guy probably shouldn't be starting. We're still going to start him because that's what we're going to do. Joe Flacco has the same amount of Super Bowls and the same amount of experience as Russell Wilson, and he's doing the exact same fucking thing.
Joe Flacco has been he's had a decent career, and I'll give it all, but he hasn't had a Russell Wilson career. But
Russell Wilson hasn't been good since he was in Denver. He's been average, just like Joe Flacco. Right now, they're on the same average backup quarterback level. That's all I'm saying. Is like, so to me, if I'm getting backup quarterback play and paying him as such, you think he's getting $21 million? You really think he's going to hit those incentives, even if he has a good year?
No, I don't necessarily think he's going to do all of that. That's not the point. My point is he's still. I feel like it's as if he's not competent enough to do this job. I know you're not necessarily saying that, but it almost kind of resonates like that to me a little bit. It almost sounds like you're saying that a little bit.
Here's what I'm saying. I see a guy who's on the back nine of his career who's not lighting up the league the same way as a Matthew Stafford is, and I'm not really worried about hurting Russell Wilson's feelings to go start my kid.
All right, because you keep bringing up Matthew Stafford. Okay, put Matthew Stafford on the New York Giants teams. For instance, these New York Giants teams, like a team
we're talking about right now. We're talking about right
the
now.
Last couple of years. I hear what you're saying, but I'm saying it's people that are in different situations, different scenarios, they make a difference, man.
Look,
because Matthew Stafford is always injured. He's always banged up. And I'm not saying he's not good when he's out on the field. He definitely is. But he's in different situations, man. Like
what I'm telling hear me out. What I'm telling you is with Matthew Stafford and the Giants, the quarterback that was coming here wasn't seeing the field in 2 years because that's what they were going to give him to be here. They were going to pay him a $100 million contract to be here. So to me, that's an investment. One, I didn't want to make, but an investment to me that I know, hey, that guy is going to be here. I don't care. I'm not going to see Jackson Dart. They made a $10.5 million investment to Russell Wilson, who, while nostalgically he's had a better career, he's been average at best. It's not like he's blown the world on fire from Seattle to now.
Well, look,
and I'm just letting you know.
We got to wrap this up because we've been on here over 2 hours now. We've been talking about the New York Giants for the last hour, and we're talking about this quarterback situation for the last like half an hour, and we got to get ready to wrap this up because I got to go to work tonight. But look, we're not, like I said, we're just clearly not going to agree on here. I just think we see it differently, and that's fine. It's good. I mean, like I said, we're not going to necessarily always see things the same way, but I don't agree with that bookends at all. Honestly, Flacco falls off a cliff. He has a couple of good games here and there. He's put together a few good games here and there, and he falls off a cliff. That's what he's been doing the last few years, in my opinion. But so I just think I just like I said, I feel like where these guys are at in their career, Russell Wilson is the guy that to me should be the starter, and that's just how it's ended right now. At least for the beginning, and right now at least to start the season. He's not like a guy that you got a guy like that on the roster. It's like, okay, we're going to start our rookie, and we got Russell Wilson here. I mean, look, I know he's not that same dude, but it just is. He's not like some throwaway guy either that you like. Oh, we got Russell Wilson, but we're going to start a rookie. I don't see Russell Wilson being that guy, being to the point of that deteriorated to that point either, where we're going to just start a rookie over him. I just don't see it. But that's going to be it for today, man. You got any final thoughts on just anything else in general, Adam, before we wrap up? Okay. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode, man. It's another week, the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. Guys, next week it gets real. We're talking about real games next week. Got two divisional matchups to talk about next week. Giants, Commanders, Eagles, Cowboys kicking the season off. So we'll be digging into those games next week and very much in-depth previewing those, making predictions, score predictions, whatnot, whatever, man. Thanks, Zion. Thank you, Bookends, for coming and hanging out. I hear all y'all, man. Look, but I'm not going to agree with that. I just don't agree with that right now. But Tudo, thank you for coming through. Everybody else, no Mets, no Nets, no Jets from earlier. AK.
How's it going, everyone?
Appreciate all you guys, man. Make sure y'all go to Adam's channel, hit that like, subscribe button, man, to the screen. Make sure y'all go to my channel, hit the like and subscribe as well. Go to the Hardcore Sports Network and do the same. Support the cause, support all our channels, help all our channels continue to grow. We keep pushing out this content for y'all each and every week, man. And we'll be back next Wednesday talking about some real football games, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. That's my guy, super dope co-host, Adam Costas. We'll see y'all next week. Peace! I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants fan. That's MACDA Giants fan.